Hey, it's Andrew here with AS Movies and Games. You can check out our website at arcticsunburn.com. I thought I would sit down and chat a little bit. I think I mentioned the fact that there was going to be some audio podcasts and various audio features on the website, so this is really just kind of the first step in that direction. I think I did a couple of things on the past. I think I might have done a Step Brothers review, which maybe I'll try to get up again. And I think I did Prince of Persia review. That I'm thinking I don't really want to use anymore. It was kind of a silly review, and I think I said the movie was good or great, which it really wasn't. It was like okay at best in hindsight. But you know what? I didn't feel like there was a lot necessarily to criticize about the movie, and Jake Gyllenhaal is really not that bad of an actor, but having said that, it was quite predictable. So over the holidays, what I've been playing more than anything else really is Team Fortress 2. What's cool is that I ended up upgrading my computer, and I didn't really intend to. Well, let me tell you what I mean. I wanted to get 3 displays up and going, mostly just for productivity's sake. So, but you know what I'm saying, right? 3 monitors. So I wanted to get 3 monitors working on my computer, and I was running Windows XP. Well, guess what? Windows XP doesn't really support it, and I've heard some rare cases where people got it working, but I think it could be that their computers were a little more powerful. So the first thing I did was I brought my computer to the store, and I got a new graphics card, and then I got a new network card. I got the new network card because I recently moved, and I wanted to see if I could maybe tap into the Wi-Fi in the house. Well, the network card ended up being a total waste of time because although it would find the Wi-Fi signals, I could just never log in, or even if I did connect to the signal, I could never actually access any websites from browsers. So even after doing all the upgrades that I did, which I'll get to in a second, the network card still proved to be utterly useless. So I had a new graphics card put in there that would support the 3 monitors, and so I went out and I found monitors. I didn't go about this the easy way. I think most people might have just ordered them online or whatever. I actually went through classifieds to find 2 additional monitors that I could get cheaply. And actually, I ended up buying one from a pawn shop as well. So I didn't really spend a lot on the monitors. And I did end up having to buy some more cables and adapters, and that was a little more costly than I would have wanted already. So the 3 monitors isn't working on XP. So I ended up bringing the computer back in, and guess what? I pretty much ended up upgrading the whole machine. At first it was just going to be, I think, the processor, the RAM, and the CPU, because I already had the GPU. But nope, I had to upgrade the power supply as well. So when all was said and done, I think I spent over $1,000 in gear, which I know is not that bad, because typically when you're looking at a high-end computer, if you want to go with the top of the line, you'll spend about $3,000. And I don't think it was really necessary for me, because really anything was going to be an upgrade at this point. I had a computer, my XP machine, basically 2 gigs of RAM and a dual core. So hardware has come down so much. It's really affordable, and it's really cheap. Like, this is a good time to upgrade your computer, I think. So I ended up getting 8 gigs of RAM, which apparently is the standard. I didn't even know. I was just going to get 4 gigs. And then I got Core i5 processor as well. And the computer's ridiculously fast. And believe it or not, I ended up installing Windows 8.1. Some of you might be cringing, but I like it okay, actually. And I hear it is an improvement on Windows 8 as well. Like, really underneath the Behold Bing search thing, it's basically just Windows 7, And so if you like Windows 7, you should like Windows 8.1. It seemed unstable at times at first. When I installed it, and got it going. It seemed to be totally fine for a few days. None of the usual crashes and shutdowns that Windows is notoriously known for. But then I started experiencing a bunch of those all of a sudden, and they kept coming rapid fire. But by the time I got some of the new updates installed, probably the last few days, if not the last week, I haven't encountered any problems. I don't think even any of the programs have actually shut down. So all in all, I am happy with my new machine, and I'm gonna be working a little harder to make up for that, because that was, I guess you could qualify it as holiday spending, and I kind of spoiled myself, and ultimately it's just gonna make work more productive, which it really has. But still, it's quite a bit of, well, it's more dough than I was intending to spend, right? So wasn't necessarily budgeting for it, but I guess sooner or later I was gonna get a new computer. At one point I just thought I would get like $400 or $600 machines, because you can pretty much just go to like Best Buy or whatever and get yourself a machine that it may not be top of the line, but pretty cheap and pretty affordable machine for $400 to $600, I found. And the other thing, by the way, that I ended up getting a new hard drive in the machine as well. Now I kept my other two hard drives, which are, I think, 250 and 500 gigs or whatever, and then I bought a gig hard drive as well. And at one point, the guy at the store told me actually the 3 gig hard drive was, I don't know, $60-$70. So that would have been sweet to get as a Black Friday deal, but I did not. I just got a gig drive, which was about the same price. So anyway, long story short, Team Fortress 2. Why am I playing such an old game on a new computer that would probably support some newer, more visually heavy, spectacular games? Well, the reason is quite simple. I haven't actually bought a whole lot of new games, and that has a lot to do with it. I do have kind of a little bit of an Xbox 360 collection. The irony is that I don't have an Xbox 360, so I haven't been able to use those in a while, but I guess the prices will probably continue to come down, considering that the Xbox One is now out. But even then, I just don't have a lot of new games, and I think I just bought Portal 2, so I think that's the newest game that I have, and it was on Steam for, I don't know, something like $4.99 or whatever. I love how they have all these holiday deals. And by the way, if you're a console gamer and you have a decent computer at home, check out Steam, because it's a free download, and it's a lot like those online marketplaces for the next gen consoles out there. And you can just download games, and they always got some cool deals going on. You may not be able to find everything that you can find on the console stores, but it's basically the PC version of those online marketplaces, and I like it a lot. So it's created by Valve, and the Valve, of course, made Half-Life 2, Team Fortress 2, and Portal, and so on. So yeah, definitely check it out if you're a console gamer. So, but anyway, I've been enjoying the Team Fortress 2 action, and I probably end up unlocking a bunch of stuff that they keep adding new things to that game still, which is pretty amazing. I think we're sort of in that time frame now where maybe we could expect some new projects from Valve. I know that games seem to take quite a while, and who knows what's going to happen there, but it'd be cool to see another Valve project here come out soon. I think they did a new version of Counter-Strike, and I guess that makes sense because it is a pretty popular online game. Yes, and then I did play a little bit of Battlefield Bad Company 2, and again, I know it's not really new. I'm finding that to be a bit of a glitchy game. In my previous computer with kind of the XP and 2 gigs of RAM setup, it actually crashed and overheated. So I couldn't really play that game for long. I could play it, but I couldn't play it for long without it overheating the computer, which would just shut it down. It did the same thing with UT3, so I mean, that should tell you something. I was able to play like UT3 on my laptop, which is 4 gigs of RAM and quad core as well, and that works actually pretty well on the laptop. I was pleasantly surprised, and I don't think it has a GPU. So, it has a GPU, just not a dedicated one. It has the onboard GPU, which surprisingly, games like UT3 would work just fine. But yeah, I'm definitely enjoying Battlefield Bad Company 2, and I think really I could be wrong, but I think it's really meant to be one of those multiplayer games. When I think Battlefield, I think multiplayer, and I did try to play through the single player with my new computer setup, and it was crashing around the time that everything else was crashing on my computer. But I've also found that I can only get so far in the game, and at the current point I'm saved at, which is, I don't even know. I think it was in this mission where you got to get to the run down the hill in the cold, and then get to the helicopter. It doesn't even go beyond that. So I don't know if I'm supposed to install some patches or something to make that happen. But it's not a major priority. But again, it's a fun game. It's still, how should I say this? There's so many games that still kind of have those invisible boundaries, and I'm not saying that every game should be a sandbox game. Please understand me what I'm saying. But it has maybe altogether too many invisible boundaries, and it's just all too apparent almost what you're supposed to do and what's supposed to happen next. So I don't know if that ruins the game. It's still fun. In the same way that even sometimes movies that are super predictable are still a lot of fun sometimes. It's still entertaining. Games can kind of be the same way, and I guess you could say that this is one of those cases. I also wanted to talk about how Spoony wrapped up his Final Fantasy XIII review. So if you're listening to this now and you weren't aware that he had done that, definitely go check it out, SpoonyExperiment.com. I am a fan of Spoony and his work, have been for a long time. I think I kind of bounced around a little bit from the angry video game nerd to the nostalgia critic, and then I started really following Spoony. So I still go back and watch some of AVGN stuff. I can't say that I've watched a lot of nostalgia critic lately, but they're all very funny, and they're all very good, and they're all very talented at what they do. But I've always kind of been partial to the MST3K, Mystery Science Theater. If you don't know what that is, definitely check it out, Mystery Science Theater 3000. But I've always been a fan of that style of humor, of just riffing on things, and Spoony does that pretty well. So definitely give him a check out if you haven't. And so his Final Fantasy 13 review has finally come to an end, and I think he's pretty much rued me from ever wanting to even embark on playing that game. I did play Final Fantasy 12. It was an enjoyable experience, but I didn't feel it had much of a storyline. A lot of the Final Fantasy games sort of had these pivotal moments. Well, not a lot of them. The good ones had these pivotal moments in game that really kind of almost changed your paradigm around what was happening. So, for example, Final Fantasy VI, also known as 3 here in North America, the world gets torn to shreds, and then so you're basically kind of you're still in the world, but now it's different as well. It's the same, but it's different, and that was one of the cool aspects. I know I'm not describing that great. Don't make fun of me. That was really one of the great aspects I felt of Final Fantasy VI. Or Final Fantasy VII, which is, I feel it's inferior to 6. I know not everyone's going to agree with me. But the cool part about that was when you left Midgar and you entered kind of the world. Actually, the cool part of the game was Midgar. And then leaving that was kind of like, oh, there's a world beyond that, and then it was sort of just run here, do this, the kind of the typical RPG stuff. Having said that, battling the weapons, some of the the additional content was pretty cool. Very difficult battles, but if you're kind of a perfectionist, then you always end up wanting to try and test your hand at those things. So I think I did end up beating Ruby Weapon and what was the other one? Emerald Weapon, I guess. So that was a lot of fun. And yeah, but I still don't think it was quite as good as Final Fantasy VI. So 13 is just a mess. It doesn't have a really descriptive storyline, and you have to go into the journals or the logs or whatever to really get a sense of what's going on throughout the game, and Spoony obviously pointed that out. There's not a whole lot involved in combat, so it's really similar to MMOs where you just kind of assign a task and your character, your player goes ahead and does those things. And I don't know, I guess that's about it. I mean, the graphics aren't bad and it looks pretty cool and all, but there's not a lot of plot, not a lot of character development, not a lot of story, and even the combat sounds like it's not all that entertaining or as fun as it could be. I've been watching quite a few movies on the subject of movies, probably more than I really even care to admit, and I think I've reviewed not a lot, but definitely a few of those on the website at arcticsunburn.com. I think the one that I will mention here, just because it was particularly good, and I think it was probably one of the better ones that I've seen. In fact, it could be a candidate for one of the best movies of 2013, I think, which was The History of Future Folk. Now, I was used to be pretty involved in various music projects, so there's a reason why I like it, because they sort of have a brand that's very duplicatable and transferable, or duplicable. So, they basically wear buckets on their head and play folk music, and so, it's very easy to create a fan base around, well, I shouldn't say easy, but you can definitely create a fan base and kind of an aesthetic around that, versus a band or just a group that goes up on stage and plays a couple of songs and they could be good, but if there's nothing the crowd can duplicate or identify with, it's a lot harder to break it in music, which is a whole other thing, I guess. But I guess the good part about the movie was just that I don't know, the whole fact that the main characters kind of turn out to be aliens, which you don't know right away, but I guess they sort of tease you at the beginning with that, and then just the fact that they play music. These aliens love music so much that that's what stops them from wanting to destroy Earth and take it over. That's pretty humorous too. I think I was maybe a little bit distracted while watching that movie, so I don't remember everything about it, but anyway, definitely one of the better ones, one of the better picks from 2013, and it is recommended. Now, one last thing before I kind of take off for this episode, and hopefully there'll be more forthcoming here in the next little while, is I'm aware of a issue with the blog feed on the website, and it really sucks, because it's one of the main things that we're trying to push with AS Movies and Games is people subscribing to the feed. Why? Because we offer updates usually about 5 days a week, which means there's a lot of content. Sometimes 5, 6, or 7 pages go up in a week of different things. Now, recently we've been featuring a lot of other critic content, but we're going to produce more original, unique stuff, and of course there has been some of that mixed in with the other stuff. So it really sucks that the feed sort of been hacked, and so there's just some random text and links in there that doesn't belong. And so I just want to apologize to anybody that is subscribed. But having said that, it's something we're going to work on. It's not the first time that we've encountered some issues with the website. And I don't know, maybe just people assume that there's no people behind this thing, and it's safe to hack or do whatever they want with it. And then on the other hand, like, most of you are probably aware, there's just those bots that, that automatically go and hack your site. and like to wreak havoc on sites that aren't totally secure. The only problem with that is we don't really know what the security issues are because the WordPress is still fairly new to us. I wouldn't say it's brand new because we've been using it for a while, but we're not WordPress experts yet, and we don't always know exactly what's happening when things like that happen. So the first issue got resolved, and that was annoying, but it wasn't too bad. It was a matter of uninstalling the plugins and the themes and then reinstalling them. And there was some stuff that we didn't even need to reinstall, so no big deal. But anyway, if you don't mind seeing some junk in the feed, we'd love it if you'd still go ahead and subscribe while we go ahead and work on that. And otherwise, we'll try to update you and let you know when things are back to normal. So visit us online at arcticsunburn.com, and I'm going to check out for now.